Do you think the added pressure just because of this rematch that goes into, you know, the energy of to talk about energy here, the energy on the field between the players, how great would you say the extent is that the that energy can affect a game? You know, like to what extent can the fans really, really impact a game like that? Do you think the players are really, really thinking about this still, or as you mentioned, the 2 years of time? Do you think that's enough? You know, just what's your read on how much impact the higher tensions can have on a matchup like last night's, tonight's, tomorrow's, and that of, you know, even the July series?
Well, here's I think we should remember, and I've been saying this to people. Do you remember the LeBradford Smith segment in The Last Dance? Do you remember that story when David Aldridge told us that in The Last Dance?
Indeed.
You remember that? Okay. Great teams and players construct reasons to motivate themselves, and this can be off of nonsense, essentially.
Right.
The Yankees don't need to make any of this up. This is very real. This is extremely real. Everyone knows that they cheated. Everyone knows that Judge got robbed of the MVP. And if you look at the statistics, if you put Altuve and Judge next to each other, Judge superior in almost every category with the exception of batting average that went to Altuve in that 2017 season. So there's definitely an added motivation. And the Yankees, they know how important it is to New York City, to the rest of baseball, I guess, to beat the Astros, because no one, I guess you could say, was cheated more out of a championship, a title, than they were, or at least a chance to play for one. Now, the Dodgers maybe, I guess, could be second up, but they already won, so they got their whole spiel. They're good. They're happy. But the Yankees definitely have added motivation. Bringing in someone like Rougned Odor, who he just beefs with everybody, even if there really isn't beef there. It's just fun because he's such
Enforcer.
a player. And exactly. He's a player you want on your side, and he's a really easy player to root for. The guy gives 110% every play. Like last night, the Maldonado play at the plate when he almost ripped his knee in half. That was terrifying. That was honestly terrifying. But it was good to see that he got up and walked around the dugout on his own power. That's guts, man. And that's what New Yorkers respect about him and this team. So if they show some guts, and if they can really get motivated, I think that they can really topple the Astros if they do see them in the playoffs this year. Because I hate to say it, coming from a supporter of the Yankees, the Astros are still really good. Okay, there's no way around it.
Yep.
Their bats from like 1 through 8 are phenomenal with Bregman, Correa, Altuve. You've got Brantley's like one of the most consistent hitters on that team. Maldonado can show up. Gurriel hits bombs. Yordan Alvarez mashes like it's nobody's business. 1 through 8 is just, it's unstoppable in that lineup. And the pitching, I know that Verlander's got Tommy John. He's probably not going to pitch this year. But you still have Greinke. You have Javier. You have McCullers. There are some solid arms in that rotation. And there's players you can fill in to supplement what you're missing. And Dusty Baker is he's a baseball genius. He's a really smart manager. He knows how to utilize what he's got. So it's hard to say coming from the team that I like, in case you can't tell. But
right.
It's the honest truth. They're still a really good team. So there's definitely extra motivation, like you said, for them to beat them. I know how bad they want to beat them.
Yeah.
They got brutally beaten last night in the Bronx. They got brutally beaten.
So I wanted to ask you next, just as a Yankee fan, you know, obviously as a Met fan, I just kind of, when it comes to the Yankees, I have to sit and admire the talent just on the Yankees. That's how I see it. That's how I view it. I'm like, you know what? I'm just admiring the talent on the roster. I'm a fan of the sport. So I'm just, you know, admiring the good players. Stanton, man, Giancarlo Stanton's been on a total heater recently. I mean, a great contributor to yesterday's win. your thoughts on his play recently, and how important he's been to the Yankees' success as well as of late.
This is okay. This is the guy that Yankees fans love to complain about because of the money and injuries and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I get it. But when he's healthy, this is one of the best hitters in baseball. Let's not forget that. He's got an MVP. He's got multiple silver sluggers to back it up. The guy hit 50 and 100 in 2015, or one of those years when he was practically unstoppable. In his MVP year, he was excellent as well, obviously. But he started off the season pretty poorly. Okay. He was batting like 175. And our producer, Alex Walls, texted me because I put out an article for the Fordham Ram, essentially yelling about the Yankees and their early season blunders. And then all of a sudden they go on this win streak. And then Alex Walls texts me. He goes, dude, the article might have worked. And I just go, LMFAO. I'm not trying to jinx anything because I'm a suspicious person. But Giancarlo Stanton has been on the hit streak. It is now at 10 games. I believe is what Michael Kay said last night. 10 games of a hit.
Sounds right.
He has been an integral part of this Yankees lineup when he's healthy. In the playoffs last year, he was phenomenal versus the Rays. He had that one game where it was a 3 home run game, multi-home run game. He was really good against Cleveland. You know, you have to deal with the injuries, but my thing that I've been saying is that if they can all just stay healthy and they get healthy when they need to be healthy, which is come playoff time, that's when it really matters the most. Because the playoffs, especially in a make or break game 5 of the ALDS, a game 7 of the ALCS, or a World Series, you're ripping up game plans, you're ripping up you just forget that. Just you're ripping everything up. We're playing baseball. You're pitching with the competitive fire you've never had. You're going to the plate looking to swing at almost everything. You might even want to throw a bat through a wall if you strike out at your first at bat. That's how aggressive you get.
Looking for some highlights that will last for the rest of your career.
Exactly. So to see Stanton really coming into form this early on is after the start that he had is fantastic. It's a great sign for Yankees fans to see him where he is right now. And you can just hope the best availability is availability. And you hope that the attribute of availability can stay with this Yankees team. And you hope that no one has any chronic, severe, long-lasting injuries that keeps them out 80-plus games this season, where they miss the All-Star game. They'll miss playoff games. You hope that's the case with this team. That's how it's been the last 4 or 5 years. That's the big thing. But to see Stanton to be where he is it's a great sign. And I think he's taken haters to town. He really has. And I couldn't be more proud of him. I really couldn't be.